Fabulous. And because of the nature of what we're doing, we don't necessarily need to be muted on our mics because there's chances to chat and ask questions. Um, so the start of the I Meditate 2025 year, and talked about it last time, but I'm just going to hit on it again. Um, my aim for this year is to share as much of what's gone into I Meditate from my side of it as possible. So the hypnosis side of it, the what's going on language wise, so hypnotic language, NLP, meditation. So by the end of the year, there'll just be a whole gamut of skills and abilities that you'll have developed. But also, when we learn this stuff, it shifts how we look and interact with people in the world as well. So it's kind of like sharing a skill set, but also looking into the thoughts, the ideas, and stuff behind it, because that changes how we approach things and look at things. So it's as much about our own personal development as it is learning how to do some great and amazing stuff. There are, as I said, within the application of it and within the teaching of it, it's never, very rarely going to be just about what we're talking about. There will be things in there that are relevant to you. And I'm not necessarily going to point them out along the way, but there's a part of you that anytime you're in on these sessions can really hear those bits that are relevant for doing, but also relevant for you, and discover that along the way as we do this. And some of it will be things that maybe you pass on. Some of it will be things maybe you take people through things, and other bits that you might forget. But that's okay, because the other thing is when we're focusing on it and getting into it more, you can't help but absorb a little bit. Once you start looking at this stuff, you become a little bit hypnosis. You become a little bit this. Um, and my aim and hope is to get a balance of doing kind of breakout rooms so we get lots of practice, but also putting enough theory in. I'm not going to go into the history. I mean, it's quite interesting. I won't lie. The history of hypnosis is quite interesting. I'm not going to go into it in these because that's not what this is about. And unless I wanted to sit down and create a script full of kind of covert, hidden suggestions that helped by going through it, well, it's just no point. Um, so if you're interested in that side of it, I can always point you in the direction of that. Saying that, so we're going to start with hypnosis because that's the main passion, and I'm thinking I'm in an R-ing. I was going to do like hypnosis one week, something the following week, and I'm don't know whether I'm going to do that, where we'll do like a month and then change, month and then change. So we'll see. Um, yeah, it'd be better to do a few weeks and then shift, I think. Um, so I'm saying I'm not going to go about talk about hypnosis. I'm going to do a crash course in the history of hypnosis. We have been using trance and hypnosis as a means of everything from contacting spirits to healing people for millennia. Um, you have going back, you have native shamanic practices, which are basically trance inducing. Some extremes. I met a guy once who'd gone over and done some training. It's back in the gosh, back in the 90s. A guy had gone over and done some training in America with some shaman where they sat around a fire drumming, drinking water and eating salt for 3 days solid. I don't think you're constantly eating salt for 3 days solid. It would kill you. But if they ate, then it was some salt that they ate, and then they would drink lots and lots of water. Did this for 3 days, which had a certain interesting effect on where their head was at. Um, to this day, I don't never asked him whether it was worth it. And after that, the culmination of this shamanic rite was they got up and they'd been drumming and dancing, drinking the salt and the water and blah blah blah. And the final bit of it, they psyched themselves up and they ran head first into a post at such a speed that it concussed them and knocked them out. And then whilst in that concussed unconscious kind of state, they would have visions and dreams, and that was the learning that they got. And it's quite easy when we look back at shamanic cultures nowadays. We come to do it with rose-tinted glasses and kind of bang our drums, shake our rattles, and that. But actually, if you go into proper historic accounts of shamanic practice, it's quite brutal. Um, why were they doing it? To get visions, to get insight into healing, to step between the worlds. And interesting, this idea of kind of our world and the other world, the closer we get to nowadays, the more it shifts from being an outer world to actually being just the inner world of ourselves. To the point I was watching something the other day, and it was an interview between some people, different group of people from different backgrounds, and there was a bishop or priest of some descript on this panel, and even he was saying that nowadays we don't see heaven as being somewhere off up in the sky. It's a state of mind that we enter into when we follow the practices. And so this other world has shifted, and I think we've lost something in that, from being something that's not so much a part of us to being more that inner world. In Egypt, we have they had sleep temples, and sleep temples, you would go, you would take of a concoction, and then you would sleep for 24 hours whilst being watched over. And different accounts, some accounts say that you would mumble and jumble stuff, and there would be a sleep interpreter who wrote down everything that you spoke about whilst you were doing this. And other people say again you'd have visions, but you'd go to the sleep temples for healing, and gaining insight and wisdom. So there's very much this. There's this something going on in here over these years, which is about either allowing the body to heal and relax and do what it needs to do, or accessing some form of wisdom, whether you perceive that as being divine, whether you just see it as the innate wisdom that we carry as human beings that normally we don't consciously access, but when we're in certain mind states, we can. Um, but then also, if you go into any sort of long-term chanting or long cycles of prayer, you're still inducing a trance, an altered state of consciousness. And you can see it. You can see it with people who, when they do things like praying, who are really entering into some other headspace, because there's this moment where they come out from their prayer and their meditation, they'll be like, there's this like readjustment, like, oh my God, there's a world out there kind of thing. Um, and so, yeah, in 1950, I'm going to say 56, it is in here, but I can't quite remember the exact. Was it 1956? I think I've talked about this in the past, but I'll mention it again just because I like the story that goes with it. In 1956, we saw the introduction of the Hypnosis Act in Britain. By this point, over the last 300 years, hypnosis had been picked up more by the medical world. James Braid, a Scottish physician, performed 300 surgeries on the battlefield using nothing but hypnosis for anesthetic, everything from minor work to amputations, no pain experienced. And then in 1956, I'm going to say it's 56, that's the date that always sticks in my head. We have the introduction of the Hypnosis Act. And whether this story is true or not, I do not know. And because I want it to be, I've never looked it up. Um, but it was the story that was told to me the first time I went down and had training with John Chase down in Devon. And the reason we have Hypnosis Act is because back in the 50s there was a hypnotist who was doing all the stage stuff, not the medical and the helping stuff, but the stage stuff. And part of his gimmick for getting people into his show is he would go to the pubs in the area and the clubs the night before the show and the day before, and he'd go up and say, "Oh, I'm doing this hypnosis show, and there's a group of you here. Would you like me to? I'll show you something now if you like." And he'd have a bit of fun. He said, "Look, I'll tell you what, you look like a good bunch of people. I'll sell you some tickets at a reduced rate. How many do you want? That kind of thing." It was a great way of getting people interested in his act. And he would always do this thing where he'd go with one of the people that he took into hypnosis, tomorrow at 7 o'clock, when exactly 7 o'clock, you're going to come out from stop whatever you're doing. You're going to just leave your house. You're going to come up and down the street and you're just going to be telling people that they've got to see this hypnotist. You've got to see this hypnotist. Amazing act, best thing you'll ever see. And he used to do this and lose, and you still see people do this now in a smaller version when you see a stage show, because they will get people to keep coming back up after the audience once they've finished the show, apparently. Um, so people would run up and down, hand out leaflets, and go, "Yeah, you got to see him," and it would be just a lot of fun. Except one year, one day he did it. Oh, where's my pen? And the gentleman in question at 7 o'clock was in the bath, and so he left his house, didn't get dressed because the hypnotist hadn't allowed for the fact he might be in the bath. Went up and down the street handing leaflets out to this hypnosis show and promptly got arrested for indecent exposure. And this came to the attention of the government, who thought, "Oh, this is a terrible thing." And so hypnosis on a performance level is the only performance art with an act of parliament governing it. You can walk on beds of nails, you can throw fire around. Yeah, there's certain health and safety things associated with that. You can shoot guns and juggle axes, but you can't tell someone to relax and behave like an idiot for an hour without ticking the boxes of what is allowed by this act. I'm sure if they ever readdressed it, it would probably be got rid of with what we know now. But certainly um, that's the story I was told, and that's the one I like to think is true because it's hilarious. Um, so it has a long history of use. Like I say, it's been used medically and medicinally and for pain and but it's also been used for fun. And by the end of us looking at it, you'll be able to use it for whatever you want. Um, so I'm going to go through. Actually, no, let's do it in that order. Um, there is. Actually, no, we'll do that. Looking at it from the context of kind of change work and how we can help people with it, I'm just going to read through a short list of just some of the things that hypnosis can help you with. Uh, Abundance blocks, all those blocks that are stopping us from living our lives fully. Acrophobia, fear of heights. ADHD, aerophobia, fear of flying. Agoraphobia, alcohol, anger, anxiety, all types. Arachnophobia, asthma. Astrophobia, which is thunder and lightning. Binge eating, blood pressure, body dysmorphic disorders. Borderline personality disorders, although it's generally advised, unless you've been doc chained to a level of a doctor, that's something you wouldn't work with. Um, Helping people if their marriages are broken, or they're getting over a breakup. Claustrophobia, had a great session here in town for claustrophobia last year, I think it was, or the year before, with a guy who was so blown away by the fact that he could now cope with small spaces that before he left my session, he locked himself in the broom cupboard in the room we were in with the light off for 15 minutes just because he couldn't believe that he could do it. But he could. Can help with communication, confidence, kynophobia, which is fear of dogs, uh, depersonalization, derationalization disorders, depression, diabetes, dissociation, can help with drug addiction. Not something I've worked a lot with, but I've had some nice successes with that in the past. Dyslexia, eating disorders, emotional eating, skin disorders, or not skin disorders, but where people pick at skins or pick at eyebrows, that kind of thing. I just call them habits. I don't like the word disorder. Um, can help with things like eczema. If the eczema is triggered by anxiety and stress, if you get rid of that anxiety and stress, you get rid of the eczema. Um, Fear of commitment, fear of death, fear of flying, driving, any most fears, in all fairness, fears of marriage, fears of public speaking. Um, it's just, yeah, all fears. Feeding and eating disorders, fighting, arguments, bickering, gambling, and more anxiety stuff. Pain, glossophobia, which is fear of public speaking, which in a survey people fear that was done. There's been more than one, but in general, people fear public speaking more than they fear death. Um, help with general health, getting into healthy mindsets for healthy eating, help motivation for exercises, can help with hoarding, hypomania, IBS, infidelity, insomnia, jealousy, judgment, self-hate, knees, back, shoulders, male, I don't even, can't even read that. My glasses are also migraines and headaches, money problems, motivations, money problems in as much as if you've not got good money habits, it can help you develop and learn those money habits. Motivation, it goes on. Careers, night terrors, obsessive compulsive disorder, fears of snakes, pain control in lots of different ways, panic attacks, panic disorders, phantom pain, phobias. We've pretty well covered, although fears and phobias are slightly different things. Post-traumatic stress, sciatica, self-esteem, self-harm, sleepwalking, smoking. Don't get so many people asking for smoking nowadays. Social communication disorders, social phobias, social anxiety, sports performance, stress, stuttering, sugar, chocolate addictions, people that like a chocolate bar or 10. So hypnosis is good with that. Suicide prevention, toothache, because toothache, uh, it goes on. Fear of injections, that's quite a common one, helps with weight loss, work-life balance. Friend of mine, Tim, he talks in one of his podcasts, he's done lots now, about he volunteers sometimes. He's an interesting character. He's a minister over in America, uh, but he's had a very interesting background, and his podcasts are really motivational. He's a bit of a whirlwind of a guy. But in one of them, he talks about he was helping the local St. John's ambulance. Um, and there's two things which he's done, which I find quite amazing. One, there was somebody who blood pressure was really high, and they were doing blood on drop-in testing, and he was helping, and they did the test, and they were like, this is not good, your blood pressure is too high. And he said, hang on a minute. He took them through this thing, and next time I took the blood pressure, it was fine. But also, there is a history of it, blood charming, as it was, where people used to be able to kind of apparently talk wounds and stuff into stopping bleeding. And it's possible with hypnosis. To actually stem the flow of blood in certain areas of the body, which is partly how James Braid was able to do anesthetic hypnosis operations, by one, numbing out the area with hypnosis, but then also being able to talk the body into reducing the flow of blood in that area, which is quite an amazing and crazy thing. There are some amazing big stories and tales about what can be done with hypnosis as well. You can lose it to slow heartbeat down as well. Um, and things like there's some interesting things done as well. I mean, the beauty with you have to remember with hypnosis is if you're doing hypnosis to help somebody, um, you can't do damage with hypnosis. There's lots of media driven hype about, oh, it does this, does that, and oh, you're out of control and all this, that, and the other. Um, and a lot of that is just absolute nonsense. Nobody's ever been done for causing damage with hypnosis. People who've been sued for because of hypnosis have been, predominantly it's been stage related, and um, it's more health and safety. So someone's been in hypnosis, the hypnotist forgets to say, you won't step off the stage. And that person, whilst thinking they're the world's best disco dancer, steps off the stage and breaks an ankle. And so it's that that more kind of physical harm, or someone's fallen over a chair or something, and it's more that health and safety wise, which could happen with or without the hypnosis, than anything actually mentally. And also it's exceedingly difficult for people to go, oh, it was the hypnosis that caused this. There's no real way of proving it, um, partly because then the whole medical world would have to validate hypnosis as a genuine thing that helped people, and whether it's a via, oh, I don't even know what that big long word means. I think So is that like a contraction of the veins or something? Could be, could be. Um, so yeah, there are some tall stories about hypnosis and things it's done as well. But generally around that list of things that we went through, it's quite a long list, about 100 things. All of those things have been proven to be benefited with. There's an interesting experiment in one book called Transformations. It's quite a rare book if you can get your hands on it if you're interested in it. Um, cool. Um, where they had a theory, and again, because you can't cause damage with hypnosis, it's okay to test the theory out because the worst case scenario is whatever you do to help someone doesn't work. That's your worst outcome with hypnosis. But as long as you've done the thing properly, even if it doesn't work, they'll be relaxed and feel good about it. So the worst case scenario is you come out of a session feeling relaxed, but nothing changes. But with hypnosis, it doesn't always change there and then. Um, One of the things that this experiment that was done, the theory was that sometimes when our eyesight gets affected, and starts to deteriorate. There's lots of many reasons why people's eyesight deteriorates, but one of the theories they had was, is it possible that it's something to do with memory and muscle memory? That maybe, I don't know, if you've if when you're growing up and you're younger, you're always active, you're out and about, and you're always looking around stuff, but then you end up working at a computer for 20 odd years, and obviously you've got the glare of the screen which can cause damage. But by being fixed in a set place for long hours and periods of time, does the body somehow forget how to use, or like the rest of our muscles? If you stop using them, eventually they kind of don't do their thing. And so they tested this with a group of people, I think about 100 people, with certain deteriorated vision, and it wasn't a huge success rate, but 20% of the people that they did these sessions with improved their eyesight through the sessions. And all they did, I say all they did, I'm doing that thing where I make everything sound just really simple, so you can do this. Um, all they did was they took them in their minds, regressed them back, not to past life stuff. I have theories on that. They regressed them back within their own lives to a point in time when they had great 20/20 vision. So say their eyesight started to deteriorate in their 20s. They took them back to when they were, say, 18 and their eyesight was still good. And they asked the unconscious mind just to remind itself and remember how everything works properly. Basically the gist of the sessions, and then they take them forward to this time, but saying that part of you that controls your eyes can stay connected to that memory and that part of you that knows how to use your eyes properly. And they got a 20% increase in people's sight improving, which, if you're one of those 20%, is good for you. um so it's always good to kind of, once you get an idea of it, know that you can test things out. You can use, I mean, I've helped people at festivals with hangovers. It's, my head hurts. Okay, let's do something about that. But also there was a guy that was the 90s, a lot to answer for the 90s. What's his name? Jonathan Royal. He ended up in the newspapers and everything. Quite a not the but no not yeah. Most people that you hear about, I've wanted to learn or at least listen to what they've got to say. Him, I'm kind of not so keen on. But he made a lot of money in the 90s by turning up outside. You get your nightclub queues and everyone's waiting outside to go in. He started kind of turning up in the cities, going to these nightclub queues, going up to people, going, "I'm a hypnotist. For £10, I can put you into hypnosis, and either you can come out feeling as drunk as if you'd had like 10 pints, or you can come out feeling like you're on your favorite drug. But the moment you leave the venue with the intention of coming home, your head will be clear and everything will be fine, and you'll just have a great night." Bit of a grey area. Is it morally right to do that? You, on one hand, you could argue, well, if it's just hypnosis and they're feeling like they're having a good time, and by the end of the night their head clears, that's a lot better than if they've actually done their drug of choice. So it's healthier in that sense. Um, but yeah, there's the mind's the limit with hypnosis. So hypnosis, whenever we come to do hypnosis, and I've learned this over the years, when I first started seeing people, I had this very long-winded, complicated explanation of what hypnosis was. It involved explaining the conscious and the unconscious mind. It explained states of consciousness and depths of enough to put people into hypnosis. Um, there are a lot of myths and rumors out there about what it is. It's not mind control. It's not sleep, because if you're asleep, you can't hear a word anyone's saying to you. So it'd be useless to be asleep. Um, however, it is an altered state of mind wherein we can learn things a lot quicker than we would normally, where we can access resources. And if we haven't got those resources, we can use our minds to imagine we have them and then have them. Um, but even that's a complicated thing. So if ever you're wanting to do a direct and definite hypnosis thing with someone, the simplest explanation is always going to be the best. It has to be something plausible. We're working with hypnosis, you're working with belief, and beliefs are really powerful. What's that phrase? If you believe you can, you're right, and if you believe you cannot, you're right. Um, Something like that. I can't remember exactly. Um, Hypnosis is a state of inner focus and relaxation wherein you can access the unused parts of your mind. That is a definition of hypnosis. Unless you're going into it, unless you're wanting to really learn it, is all you need. It's a state of inner focus. I mean, people go, "I have ADHD, I can't focus." Yes, they can. Just focus slightly differently. Um, and we'll go into to that stuff. I'm trying to dance on the edges before getting too involved. Um, so yeah, if anyone ever asks what's hypnosis, at the end of the day, especially if it's somebody that can benefit from them, you don't want some long-winded, difficult, technical sounding description that makes it sound inaccessible. You want to make it sound easy. And that goes for anything that we're ever asking people to do, like Sally doing her the lip reading. If you were like, well, when it comes to lip reading, you have to really focus and narrow in on the subtle movements of the such and such and such a muscle here and this muscle here. And if you notice this muscle's here, then it's probably going to be sounding a something or other. And that then will relate. And it will, and this, you're not going to get this easy. It's going to take several years before you really get to notice that little twitch, which means they're going to say, I can't imagine. It might be wrong, but unless that is how you do it. But I wouldn't know. I didn't think it would be. I can't imagine that anybody's going to really want to. We were talking before about the difference and how long actual proper sign language takes to learn properly, and like that's a dedication. You don't train that long to be a doctor. Um, you want this to sound simple, but then that goes to anything, any situation. If And this is, I guess, getting more into the kind of influence side of kind of change work and that. If something sounds easy, one, people are more likely to consider it. Two, they're more likely to do it. So if I say to you, oh yeah, we're going to go into hypnosis, it's really easy. It's basically a state of inner focus. You may or may not relax with it. We associate relax with hypnosis because the whole sleep thing. It's not essential. If you want to, great. If not, you'll be able to do this anyway. Keep it simple. Anything. Oh, that, you know, oh, do you mind cooking for me tonight? Imagine that. Imagine now, if not tonight, another night. If Amy's just got in from school and go, Ames, do you mind doing the cooking tonight? There's this. If you flambe that and then boil that for 5 minutes at such and such a temperature. You'll need the thermometer to make sure it's the correct temperature. And then if you could just gently fricassee that, she's just going to be like, what? Whereas if I Ames, you chuck a pizza in the oven, she's going to go, yeah, of course, of course. So whether it's hypnosis or anything, you want somebody to do something, make it sound easy. We're hitting on the hypno words a little bit. Just, oh, just do that for us. Just makes it sound effortless. You know, oh, do you mind? Oh, can you just do that for us? If you want to add a double whammy, put because and put some ridiculous reason on the back of it. I remember the first time I learned that. I was like, feels like it won't work. I said, watch this. James, can you do this? Can you go upstairs? I think let's go upstairs and get my mug, please, because there's penguins at the moment in Antarctica with coats on. She's like, yeah, and just went upstairs and got me mug. It's great. Um, so if ever you're talking about hypnosis or anything to do with helping people, make it sound as simple and as easy as possible because they're more likely to engage with it. And if you tell somebody that something's simple and easy, they're going to focus on the aspects of it that's simple and easy. So their overall experience will be that it's simpler and easier to do. Um, so hypnosis, we could go into the unconscious and conscious mind things, but I hate to kind of do spoilers, but it doesn't really exist. It's just a handy definition for those things we do automatically and those things that we have to think about. If you wire the brain up, there is no one place that is conscious, no one place that is unconscious. It's all firing off and doing its things. And but it's a handy thing. And if you go down that line, if you want to think about it, an unconscious, anything unconscious, anything you're not having to think about, your breathing is unconscious. You're not consciously breathing, although sometimes you do. Um, Shaking hands, which is something you utilize in hypnosis, is something if you hold your hand out to 10 people to shake their hands, at least nine of those people are probably going to, without thinking, reach up to shake your hand because we're just conditioned to do it. Um, so yeah, hypnosis, really simple definition. If ever you're going to be using it directly, it's just a simple state of inner focus, inner relaxation, where you can easily make changes to how you think about things, how you feel about things. Um, or if you are going down the entertainment line, it's a simple state of inner focus where once you're there, you can just find it easy to do things that you wouldn't normally do and maybe be a little bit more expressive than you would normally. Um, Again, just make everything sound easy. We're flying through stuff. I want to get into a bit of a practical thing. Um, and there's some other bits I need to show you as well. Oh, we're coming up to that bit now. When it comes to hypnosis, if you're going for the more traditional model, we have the ritual of hypnosis. And if you go back through I meditate videos, you will notice, even within the format and the structuring of what we're doing in some of those sessions, this kind of pattern, this ritual of um, and so the ritual, the traditional ritual of hypnosis is you have your chat, which is that this is what it is, this is what it is, blah blah blah. Um, Also, it's important to let people know what it isn't. It isn't sleep. It isn't mind control. I can't click my fingers and make you hand over your life savings. You just tell me to get lost. Um, whether you're doing it for a therapeutic reason or to help or just for the fun of it, bringing a bit of humor and comedy into it is great. If you want to crack a joke, because when people laugh, they relax. And certainly if they're a bit worried about something, having a bit of a giggle about something else helps them relax. So when it comes to, and we're doing an overview this week, when it comes to hypnosis, you have the initial bit, then you have what used to be called suggestibility tests. Nowadays, people call them set pieces. I usually just call them an exercise. Oh, try this. Um, we'll go into this when we do them, but it's important to again make it sound easy. We're just going to do this thing. There's no right or wrong response. It just gives me some feedback. um, is a great way of phrasing it. Another great way of getting people to do stuff. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. It's just, it'll just get get me some feedback, or it'll just get done. Um, so you have that. And these are we've done these. We've done some of these. Well, when we've done the self hypnosis, and you stick your eyes, and we stick the hands, and I'm sure we've done this a few times in the past. Um, these are the set pieces. These are if you get people standing up, you can get them to imagine that there's an energy pulling them back from your hand, even though you're not touching them, and you can push them forward. There's a hand up there. Where's that gone? Who was putting their hand up or waving? No? Oh, it appeared and then it went. Strange things. Um, you can make yourself look. It's just done it again. Um, like a Jedi, where you're kind of pushing and pulling people. You say another stage. If I do this with my hand, you'll just move my hand, and people. And you've not done any hypnosis, but suddenly a person is following your hand as it moves around. Um, I'm saying you haven't done hypnosis, but if somebody is doing something which they wouldn't normally do, and you're pulling the strings, so to speak, on it, then you do actually have hypnosis. It's quite simple like that. It's me. Why has my hand gone up? How I didn't even touch it. There we go. Um, So these are the set pieces. These are little bits of tests. If you're doing it on a performance level, it helps you weed out the people who are going to be good to work with and bad to work with. People that sleepwalk, talk in their sleep, if you know that they do this, are pretty well guaranteed. You don't need to do most of the stuff. You just go sleep, and they will actually just go into hypnosis. Fee is one of these people. She drops very, very deep though when she goes, and so it can be quite interesting. Um, So you have your introduction, you have your chat, you have your set pieces, your little tests to find out. It also gives you feedback on what's going to be the best way of approaching it. Some people will respond better to verbal stuff. Some people respond to you raising your hands. It's a new, does it? Now that's just going to look really funny. Whoever watches this back, what on earth is he doing? Uh, so yeah, so it's very much a testing the waters. All of these tests can actually take people into hypnosis as well. Then we have the inductions, your traditional induction. When they first started exploring hypnosis, it would take weeks to get people into trance, literally weeks. And as time went by, I can't remember who it is off the top of my head, but there was one person who's like, you'd go back several times. You'd be like, oh, I'm going back. I've got my appointment on Monday, right? He's talked to me for an hour, go back. And about 6 weeks' time, after 6 weeks of appointments, we're talking a couple hundred years ago, you'd then eventually go into hypnosis. Um, is it that? No, everyone's trying to see how that hand thing works now. Um, and then someone had the idea of like, well, what if you just sped that up and did shorter blasts of each session, and then they discovered that you can actually take people into hypnosis quite quickly. And nowadays, usually there's kind of three approaches um, to hypnosis inductions, which is the next stage. You've had the general chat, you've had your testing, and then which isn't really testing, like I say, because there's no right or wrong response. Then you go into the induction, which if it's the stage, that's the fancy bit. Um, Milton Erickson, where is he? He was off camera up there at the moment. Milton Erickson used to have a thing where you would go in to see him, and he would go, literally say to someone, "My dear, come in, sit down, and go into trance." And people would come in, sit down, and their expectation was that he was so good, would just be they'd come down, sit down, and just do this in the chair. Or he'd say, take a pick of one of these two chairs, whichever one you can go into trance most easily in. Just presupposing that the moment they're going to sit down, they're going to go into trance. Um, this is all possible. By the end of this year, you'll know how to do that. Um, you'll literally already do. Um, so we have the induction. That's on the stage. It's the fancy bit in a more therapeutic, or if you were just helping a friend out, it wouldn't be necessarily so dramatic. Three types of induction. One is the gradual induction. So where you might talk them through relaxing different parts of the body. Meditation has the equivalent. Um, So, as you're lying there or sitting there, just begin to relax your feet, allowing your toes to relax, your feet to relax, just let go. And now just a little bit when like we did the light body actually the other day, where you're moving up through the body and just telling those different parts of the body to relax. And as you do this, you can let go, you can go deeper and deeper and relax. And so it's a gradual induction. And that can take a few minutes. Some people will take like 10 minutes or even longer to do that, which you could argue by that point you just been talked to sleep anyway. Um, I'm not a great fan of the slow induction. However, for some people it'll be exactly the right technique to use, and that's something that you kind of get to suss out with people. It's like, is this person, if somebody comes in and they're talking at you like, and I did this and I did that and I did this and the other, a slow induction is never going to work because their brain isn't working that slow. They're just going to get annoyed. And it's a good thing when you're communicating with people. It's like, I'm aware I'm talking quite quickly because I've got quite a lot going through, and I'm following the stream of thought as it comes. But if you've got somebody that's talking to you like that, there's no point you going, right, yes. And so let's just relax, because that's just going to wind them up. They're just going to be like, oh, come on, speak normally, just talk to me. Um, so, but in conversation as well, is if you've got somebody who speaks rapidly, match that pace, because then you're speaking with them rather than at them. And then there's certain ways then you can suss out how well they're matched, and then you can, if you need to slow it down, can slow it down with your voice, and they will follow through with that. So yeah, we have the gradual slow induction. Um, we have we have the rapid inductions, which I've got a video which I'm going to share in a minute. We can watch a bit of a rapid induction. Um, and then we have the shock inductions, which again can, in the right situation, on a stage, they look really impressive. Darren Brown does a kind of shock induction when someone will walk onto the stage, takes the hand and just literally knocks their head back and they go down and they've gone. That's a shock. I didn't see it coming on. Oh, my life. Oh, that's it. You're done. There was one called Zap, which I think you can still find on YouTube. I don't condone it in any way whatsoever, where you literally grab someone's hand and pretty well pull them off their feet. And I'm just thinking shoulders, neck, backs, impact with the floor. There's so much potential for being sued there. I don't recommend it, but it's quite comical and entertaining to watch in some ways. Um, A rapid induction is things like the handshake induction, anything that's going to get somebody into trance within a couple of minutes. However, you can get people into trance in less than 30 seconds. And we're not talking just light trance, we're talking fully floppy, deep relaxation. And that's when it comes to helping people. One of just, if nothing else, learning a bit of hypnosis to help people relax is a wonderful thing to be able to help people with. Um, and I've worked with people. There's a great way of testing people's ability to relax. You get them to rest their hand like this and relax it. Say, in a moment, I'm going to knock your hand away. And if they're relaxed, it'll just drop like that. If they're not, it'll do that or some variation of that. Um, and with hypnosis, you can get somebody that's carrying that amount of tension to just be like that quite quickly, which for people that find it difficult to relax is really good, because the more they do that, the more their body and mind learns how to do that, and then they relax. Um, so we have rapid inductions, things like handshake inductions, um, are pretty well the most common one. And like I say, then we have the shock ones. But I have a couple of videos lined up. Let me just go here. Where are we going? This one. Da-da-da. Strange looking bloke. We got that. I'm not. There won't be any sound on it, I don't think. Well, it could be. Have I got the sound on? Hang on. Let me see if we can do some sound. Oh, there we go. I don't actually know what the sound is on this one. So, oh, here we go. So we've got this is an example of kind of quick. They're both quick ways of getting people into hypnosis. I did this guy's training videos, I seem to remember. Cal Bunyan? Yeah. And she's gone. That quick. Really relaxed into hypnosis. So that's one. See if we can. It's one thing with hypnosis. People do tend to really enjoy the experience. And then she's gone again. I mean, once somebody's gone once, and there's different tests like making the arm go stiff, that kind of thing. Has he got any others? Yes. There we go. I think it's the same one again. Oh, he's going slow this time. No, he's not. Um, so, oh, it's still playing. It's, it's knocked him out again. Um, so yeah, hypnosis can be that quick, which is also is there is a sense of satisfaction when you do that kind of induction. We're going to learn how to do these things over the year. We're going to learn how to do this, but also going to learn how to do it conversationally as well, which is a different thing. Um, what I want to what I want to say, and I really want you to just remember this. It's nothing difficult to remember, but it's really useful, and it's something I use with meditation, and it's something I use with hypnosis because I don't see there's a great difference between the two. When it comes to an induction, that bit that gets somebody to that place. Now, whether that's the talking somebody into meditation or whether it's the taking somebody into hypnosis, anything and everything can be used. Anything and everything. So, um, when I used to practice out of Shrewsbury, the center I was practicing out of was right next to one of the schools, the colleges there. And on a Wednesday night, if I had clients, um, depending on what time it was, there was I don't know whether it was a choir or a theatre group doing musicals, but at a certain time, about 7 o'clock, just after, they would start singing. Very good singing, man, absolutely wonderful singing, but they would stop singing. And the first time that happened, I wasn't aware that it was going to happen. And I had somebody with me, and they're there on the chair, and I'm starting to go through the hypnosis. We'd done some of the test bits, and I was at the point, and I was talking them in on this one. We'd done some bits, we talked them in, and just as I got started going, they'd close their eyes. I'd see they were starting to act. Really, certain things, characteristics, you can tell that somebody's starting to relax and go into hypnosis. And this choir started up, and wow, could we? It was like they were singing outside, like carol singers. Um, and yeah, that'll be the one. Yeah, they were brilliant. And but suddenly I have this noise, this disruption, even though it was nice, coming in through the window, completely unexpected. Anything can be used. So I very quickly just went, and as you're lying there, it's as though there's a choir of angels just singing you to sleep as you relax even more. And so you can use this. I've done hypnosis in front of the speakers at a festival where it's like every beat that you feel from that speaker, because the sound's going bang, 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 and they're feeling it. Every beat you feel, as you notice that now and how you sense it, you can relax even more. So you literally can use anything. I remember when I used to live in Lansdowne, being in the pub there, and the one guy, I was like, I remember seeing a guy. I remember watching a thing online where there was a guy, and he put a nail in a bar and a piece of cotton off the nail, and then he glued it to the back of a beetle, and as the beetle starts going round, and you can watch this, can you not? It starts going round. closer and closer. The guy watching it, you begin to go into hypnosis. You know what I'm doing? I was slightly subtly changing what I'm saying to the point that when that beetle got to the middle and stopped, he went into sleep. And the guy went like this at the bar. So you can use anything. Um, as an induction. You can use somebody drinking a cup of tea. You can use memories. Memories are wonderful, if especially on the conversation thing. We can all think of a time where we felt relaxed. Maybe we're on a holiday, the sun's shining, and you just imagine yourself there now. And as you're doing that, you can just see the things you saw and hear the things you hear, and you know what it's like when you begin to relax now as you think of that. And so you can use conversation and memory as much to take people into hypnosis. You can use people's past hypnosis experiences to take them into hypnosis. If someone's been hypnotized before, it's pretty guaranteed they're going to go into hypnosis again. So anything can be used as an induction. A pen, just hold on that pen. You keep holding on to that pen, just focus on a point on it to the point where I don't know whether it'll be in a few moments or a little while longer that you begin to find it harder to hold on to that pen. But as you begin to find it harder to hold the pen, when it does go, and it will go, when you do let go of that, you can relax and just go all the way down. Would work. Um, so there are, if you can apply the situation, you can use anything. And I really want you to remember that when we're looking at hypnosis in the future. Um, where are we at? Because I'm aware that once I get going on this, pretty well covered. So we've covered what hypnosis is. We did a crash flash course in the history of um, safety. Hypnosis is safe. If you're doing it on a performance perspective, you've got to be aware of your environment. If you're at a friend's house and they go, oh, you've learned a bit of hypnosis, go on, show us something. It's great. It's a wonderful thing to be able to share with people. But just make sure there's not a chair for them to fall over or a glass that they can knock over. It's just common sense. If you have somebody in hypnosis, they're in your care. Same way as if basically treat them like if you had a friend who'd had one too many, basically, if you're doing it up, treat them that way. So you're going to make sure they don't trip over this, trip over that, and make sure everything's clear for them. And if you're doing it on a therapeutic level, on a helping change work level, again, if you're doing this impromptu at, say, at a friend's house, maybe they've been struggling a bit and they need to relax and maybe they're a bit tense. Oh, I can help you with that if you like. Make sure that if they're sat down, the stool that they're on isn't going to wibble, or if they relax too much, not going to drop off it. Just common sense stuff, really. And again, worst case scenario of hypnosis is you kind of go to someone, oh, I can help you with that. And you go through it all and they relax, but it doesn't change for them. But they've relaxed, so they've still got some benefit from it. Um, different types of induction: shock, rapid, and gradual. We won't be doing shock inductions. One, it's really difficult to do shock inductions over a screen. Uh, Two, I am not a big fan of them. I, a rapid induction can be quite an elegant thing, can be quite exquisitely done. There can be a bit of flair and class with it. Shock inductions are a bit that can be things like, and you see it again on the stage where they go, so you want to go into hypnosis? And they'll be like, yeah, yeah. And then they just go sleep and shout at them really loud. And there's nothing, it does the job, but it's not, you know. Um, and conversational hypnosis is once you can take people into hypnosis with conversation, which if ever you've told a story and somebody's held on to, you kind of realize people are really listening to what you're saying. You've already got the skill. It's just different ways of applying language. So, any questions about? I covered quite a lot in that. Any questions? Fire them away now, and then we'll finish up today's session with a something which you can enjoy.
Okay, I've got one.
Yes, yes.
I appreciate that the shock hypnosis isn't.
Oh, I'm just going to.
Fan of.
It's a bit. Your mic's a bit quiet. Oh,
sorry.
is that? Oh,
yeah,
that's all right then.
taken it off.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
it's my
that's
fault.
it.
The shock hypnosis. I appreciate that you're not a fan, and I
Hmm.
can see why that's not necessarily a good way of going. But how is it done? Because that was just amazing to see that video. I don't understand how that
Okay.
could be achieved so
Should we
easily.
break that down? Um,
Okay.
and that would be fun to do. I've got a video actually of me doing that with two people, one
Okay.
in each hand somewhere on YouTube. Um, so what you're doing there, you're building up an expectation and then you interrupt it.
Okay.
Um, so the it's actually known as the 8 word induction, which actually is more of a rapid induction than a shock. Um, so the eight, I can never get this into the 8 words because you just take everything. So basically, push on my hand, push on my hand, take a breath. That's too many. Push down, take a breath, and sleep. Oh, you could do it in 7. Um, you're getting the push, you're getting the activity, you get the. This is, if I say the word enchantment, yeah, I think there's another word like that as well. Getting somebody enchanted, fixated on an idea. So here you're getting them fixated on this. You're fixating on this, and they're pushing. And if they don't know what's coming next, um, they keep pushing. Yeah, just keep pushing. Just keep pushing. That's it. Just keep pushing. Just keep pushing. That's it. Just let that to the point where there you can start. You see that shift where people are really starting to invest in what they're doing now. They're really pushing now, and pushing, pushing, pushing. And the moment you drop your hand, one, it sends the body out of balance a bit. Two, suddenly they don't know what's happening next. And for a moment, there is a gap in. I did read somewhere how long they think this gap is, but a bit like the handshake induction, there is a gap and a moment in time where the brain goes, "Oh my God, what's happening?" And it doesn't know what it's meant to do. If you then give an instruction and a command at the point where the brain doesn't know what to do, it'll latch onto it and it will follow that instruction. So with a handshake induction, in fact, if I find, if I bring a couple more up, um, YouTube. Oh, see if I can find one of my tutors doing. Mm-mm-mm. Ready. Handshake induction. I bet he's up there. He can't help himself. Bum. Oh, actually, no, she's Anthony's there. Let me get to the point where I'm sharing that again. Where is it? I'll put the sound on this one. That one. So this is
performing in Shaftesbury Avenue
younger
in
there.
1948
Trained with
doing the
Anthony.
handshake induction. You know, it's been around for a long time. There are variations. I use 2 or 3 different variations. The point is you're just trying to get to that base camp of, right, now I'm here. What's next? Just to say, the worst piece of advice I was ever given was find the induction, fit it to your client. That's not that. Now just look up at your hand, look
There
at
we
the
go.
lines on it, look at one spot. As the hand moves towards your face, your eyes are going to begin to change focus. And as you become aware of your eyes, Ben, close your eyes and sleep and relax. Go
And there you
deeper,
go.
deeper down now.
All the way down.
Sinking, floating, drifting down.
And
This
just
arm can
see how
relax,
relaxed he goes
completely
so
relax.
very,
This
very
arm can
quickly.
relax,
Now, obviously,
completely
that's in a
relaxed. You're
slightly
doing wonderfully.
performance
Your head
perspective, but
like a
imagine you've got
bowling
a
ball. It's going
friend
to
who's
get
really
heavier and
stressed and
heavier.
just needs to
Your neck
relax,
will
and you can do
relax
that for
completely.
them.
Your spine will
And
relax.
just leave them
You're
for
going to
five
feel your
minutes in
head
your
being
living room,
pulled down towards the
just so
ground. You
relaxed.
won't
Tell
hurt
them in
yourself, but
five
you'll
minutes'
feel it
time,
getting heavier
you're going to
and
come out
heavier and
and be
heavier and
wide
heavier.
and wide
Very little you can
awake,
do about that. So once you're
feeling
wide
great.
awake, feeling
It's going to be
refreshed
good.
and
And
relaxed
then
now.
he's back out.
Right, so let me just teach you this
Let me
induction.
see if I can find one more. That's a head hacker one. Is that just a Freddy there? It is. No, that's a different thing. I thought I'd be able to find one of him doing one. But there's a different one using a similar principle again. Use that one.
Involved in it. It looks pretty simple.
Where are you, Freddie? There's your volunteer. Dun, 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 dun. Just find this for you. We're about there, are we? Oh no, back a bit. There.
Just the next few minutes, it's my arm. You've lent it to me. Now it belongs to me, right? Can I borrow your arm? Okay, so as I pull your hand
So
up,
he's getting her to do
just
something
allow your
that's
eyes to close.
a little unusual. You don't normally do it, so you're not quite
As
sure
I
what's
push
going
your
on.
hand
So he's
down,
telling her what
allow
to
your
do.
eyes to open and relax even more. As that hand goes back up, allow your eyes to close. As I push your hand down, allow your eyes to open and relax even more. As that hand goes back up, your eyes will close. Now feel your wrist stiffening. Feel the elbow joint locking. Feel the forearm muscle tightening. Feel the bicep tightening into your shoulder. Feel the arm going completely rigid as it just hangs there. And every word I say now, every breath you take is going to take you deeper and deeper into the most profound, wonderful state of trance. And you may wonder whether you've drifted deeper into that trance. But I'd like you to try and straighten that arm and find you cannot. Try as hard as you can, find it locks even tighter. You can open your eyes, look at that hand, try and move it, find it moves, it sticks even tighter now.
So
Look at me, you're in a trance, am I in a trance?
hands not
That's something
moving,
strange is
hands
going to
locked up.
happen.
She can't move it now. It's stuck
As you
right
look
there.
at me, the other hand's going to start to lift all by itself.
So she's
And that,
technically in hypnosis,
feel it
even though
now,
she
feel
doesn't
it
feel
being
she
pulled
is.
up. That's going to start to seem incredibly funny to you. Feel that force putting that hand up now, higher and higher. That's going to seem funnier and funnier. It's going to seem like the fun. You look at that hand, it's going to feel like the
We'll learn
funniest
how to
thing
do
you've ever seen.
that. um,
Amazing.
there we go. And although with that one, it's Jacqueline Powerlift, that's one that Freddie developed. This getting the hand to do this and repeating it is the same process here. It's like keep doing it, repeat it, repeat it. The brain kind of goes, okay, I know what I'm doing now. I'm going to keep doing this, or I'm not sure what's happening here, so I'll just follow along. And after a little while, you get to that optimum point where you can either drop that, or with this, if you notice, I think it's the third or fourth one, and you'll feel when if you're doing that, you feel a point where there's like less resistance, and suddenly so you go right and just hold it there, and now this locks up and that locks up because they don't know what's coming. You've lulled them into this, what is going on, what is this, what, and then you start going, and now that locks up and this locks up and this, and I mean you can do this one for yourself, and then to the point where you can't move it, and you can open your eyes, look at it, try and move it and find you cannot. We all know about the word try. Um, and oh, I've done it. This happens. Um, find you cannot, and then once this hand's locked and it's not moving, you can tell them this hand's relaxing, or you can just go sleep. And because by then they're following instructions. So there's different ways. There's the kind of creating that fixation, that kind of enchantment, just drawing somebody into an action. Like when I did the rings around the table thing for the one guy, that was literally I'm just getting him to follow and follow, follow and follow until he kind of zones out, and then I go sleep. Um, so yeah, the other way is I couldn't see one there. I wanted to. Well, Anthony did, but you didn't see that bit on it. Is the handshake induction, which is when, like I said before, when people shake hands, they automatically, if you hold a hand out, someone will hold your hand out to them, and the given um, etiquette is you shake hands for a little bit and then you let go. But if you don't let go when it's socially acceptable and you keep going, suddenly someone's like, what's this about? Well, then you can kind of start giving them instructions. Or in the case of Anthony, the hand comes up, you've shook hands, and you kind of, rather than letting go, you then kind of bring the other hand in, you hold the hand up here for them and go pick a spot. So now you're telling them, they're like, what on earth's going on? Pick a spot. Just pick a spot. Pick a spot, and notice as that hand just starts moving into your face, the lines keep changing and shifting and moving. And as it gets closer, you feel that, see your eyes get wanting to blink, get a bit more relaxed, but tired. When that hand touches your head, you can go all the way down into sleep now. And so you're interrupting a pattern. And pattern interrupts are, um, Channel 4 have been using them. I don't know if you've noticed with Channel 4 in their adverts, you get to almost your program starting back up again, and it goes to a colorful screen where it says your program will start shortly. And then it holds it and holds it. So you're getting that same like push, 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 push. And then it flickers and you think it's going to go into your program, but it quickly flashes up a company logo or a company brand name and then goes into your program, which is technically a form of subliminal hypnotic advertising, which used to be illegal. I don't clearly don't know if it is now. Um, but a pattern interrupt. So anything where you've got a pattern, and that could be a pattern, you can interrupt it by breaking that pattern and instructing people, or you can utilize it, because utilization, anything can work. If you've got somebody who's sat there and they're doing this, and you notice they're doing that, this is a pattern. This is they're not thinking about this. Is not a conscious thing. So you can bring, and as you continue now to bring your thumbs round and round and round, I wonder how long until you realize that if you try to stop them, you find you cannot. I wonder what that would be like if you try to stop wiggling your thumbs now. This is a smaller version of a different induction. So try to stop wiggling your fingers now and find you cannot. Try and stop them. The far harder you try to stop them, the faster they want to go. And if you get somebody that's now doing this and they don't seem, and they're starting to look a bit puzzled because they should be able to stop and they can't, you're basically heading into hypnosis. And you go, I'll count down from 3 to 1. On 1, you can just close your eyes and really relax. You don't even have to say hypnosis, just really relax. 3, 2, 1. We all think differently, we all react differently, which is why there's a bit of a myth that only X amount of the population can be hypnotized. It is a big myth. They did some tests in the 50s where they took recording of a hypnotist going. Back then, they used to think you had to speak in that monotone, like robot voice, to hypnotize people, whereas actually you should just speak normally. And they did do this thing where they recorded this voice, and you are sitting there, and it's a slow induction, and you are beginning to relax your foot, and you can begin to, and it went on like it's about half an hour's worth of tape. You'd fall asleep anyway, to be honest. uh, and about 40% of the people they did this experiment with went into hypnosis, but that's because only 40% of the people would respond to that kind of induction. If you've got somebody who's quite a thick thinker, they're a quick thinker, they're not going to be sitting there going, "Oh, they're just going to be, oh, come on, come on, come on." And they're going to get twitchy. They're not going to be, they're going in the opposite direction. If you've got somebody who's like bang, bang, bang and a bit wired, you want a quick induction. You want to be like, um, so the more ways and the more approaches the better. I think Anthony in the one thing said the worst bit of advice he was ever given was pick an induction and fit it to the person. No, get to know the person and find the induction that works for them. Um, any more questions? I mean, we're going to learn how to do all this and much more over the year, and conversational stuff, and
I have just put one on the chat. Why don't they fall over when they go to sleep?
because you tell them not to.
Oh, okay. All right.
If you're being clever. I remember being in Shrewsbury, a bunch of magicians, and my mate Adam was like, "And sleep," and this girl Beth was like, "Oh, you forgot to tell her." Um, you can set up a expectation at a demo like that, where there's probably been other demos. If people have seen that people stay upright, they can. If you're doing it in like an impromptu or performance situation, and people are standing, in a moment you're going to go in hypnosis. How are you going to feel like that? You'll be able to stay standing. Just tell them you'll be able to stay standing. And then you kind of, but that bit where you go sleep, you go sleep and stand, and you hold them just in case. Um, and you manage it that way. Um, yeah, yeah, that's all you remember to most of the time. Um, I guess there we go. Fabulous. Okay, any more questions? Oh, Sally's had to go. She say she's going, or is a machine? It might just be it's frozen. Sometimes it does that. Any more questions? We'll
Really good piece.
all good.
Yeah.
Okie doke, fabulous. Oh wow, yeah, we've done quite an ease. So what I would suggest, because I've thrown lots and lots of bits and pieces and stuff there, but that's all the kind of basic footings and foundations. So if you get a chance over the next week between now and next Wednesday, go back and have a listen to that. Go and take out the bits, think about the applications. Have a look on YouTube. There's some wonderful, and so great, and there's some bad. Oh no, there's Sally coming back in. Hello.
I don't know what happened there.
No, no. Uh, so yeah, so I was literally just saying, so for between now and next week, if you get a chance, sit down and listen through that again, because there's a lot there, and just get the general ideas. One, can't emphasize it enough. When it comes to hypnosis, anything can be an induction, and when it comes to conversational hypnosis, almost anything. I seem to remember actually back before we moved here in the early months of I Meditate, where someone had said something like, I reckon you could read anything can put people into hypnosis. And so I found a kid's book and seem to remember, especially if the video must still be there somewhere, um, doing reading this kid's book with the intention of people going in relaxing and going either into meditation or hypnosis. And I seem to remember it kind of we got there. Sally might have been there for that one. Just going way back now. But again, when it comes to conversational stuff, part of it's just having that intent. Milton Erickson was a great believer in trusting your unconscious mind. Trust your unconscious mind. If your intention is to talk to somebody in such a way that they can relax and be, say, free of pain, just trust it and talk. Don't think, what should I say? Just allow whatever comes to come. So yeah, I just said actually before Sally disappeared, was there any more questions? So I don't know if you've got anything. Next week we'll get into some actual. We'll spend most of the session doing some practical and actually exploring and doing um, some stuff. Obviously, we are kind of limited with it being on here, but the majority of things you can learn the fundamentals of and adapt online, and it's good because if you can do it online, you can do it in the real world really easy. And if you think back to what I said earlier on about making things sound easy, that's exactly what uh, we just did. The thing now we'll be doing like the Monday sessions. You'll be sitting there listening, and I'll be I just need to take it and just and you'll be like, it's just telling us it's easy to do this, um, but it is. Most things are except for open heart surgery. I wouldn't like to tell somebody that was just easy. Um, Maybe if you're the person receiving, yeah, it's just easy. You'll go into your anesthetic, you'll come out, it would be great. Um, that's probably a good time to tell somebody it's easy. Um, Fabulous. Okie doke. Well, in that case, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Um, and next week we'll be very much practicals. Hopefully, if there's a few more of us as well, we can still break out and do the breakout rooms, and start exploring some applications of this and look at the different stages of that. So we'll have lots of things. And what I'll do is I'll just drop lots of different things, and then you can go back on the video and go, I actually really like that, and pick out the bits that you want to play around with. Fabulous. Wonderful. Okie doke. Hope that's okay for you. The first one. Yeah. There's a lot, but I think everyone can. I know everyone can do this. Take it all in and find other ways that you can apply it in different areas of life as well, because it really makes a difference. Really makes a difference. Wonderful. Okie doke. Take care, everyone. See you next week.
Yeah.
Bye.